Alec Hudson is tired. Bone tired, soul tired. He's been walking for nearly 3 weeks, all the way from London's Heathrow Airport, across England, and deep into Wales. He thinks of it as a kind of a pilgrimage, this walking. Each day is like a prayer, each step an incantation. It's as if the horizon that keeps advancing ahead of him is an ideal he strives for but can never attain. It has something to do with love, with duty, with keeping faith. For he is carrying the remains of his late ex-wife and closest friend, Gwyn. Just before she died, she asked him to scatter her ashes atop a Welsh mountain they'd climbed together years before. From Heathrow Airport, he walks south to the River Thames and then follows the footpath along the banks upstream to the west. Past Windsor Castle and Eton, Henley and Reading, halfway across England. The river turns north towards Oxford at Goring Loch, but Alec keeps heading west, climbing up onto the rolling Berkshire Downs. By the end of the first week, he's in the southern Cotswolds. As the second week begins, Alec catches a lift across the Severn River Bridge and enters Wales. He turns north to follow the twisting valley of the River Wye, passing Tintern Abbey, the picturesque ruin immortalized by the poet William Wordsworth. Depending on the terrain, Alec averages between 2 and 3 miles an hour. Up most days with the sun, he puts 6 to 8 miles behind him before lunch and another 8 or 10, sometimes more, before calling it a day. By the end of the third week, he's crossed the bleak moorland of the Cambrian Hills. He's been lucky. With the exception of a few misty mornings, he's had clear and exceptionally warm weather the whole way. As he strides north, spring advances with him and daffodils dance along the roadside. And then at last his destination is in sight, the towering peaks of northern Wales. He reaches the old market town of Dolgelly, and the mountain Gwyn asked him to climb, called Cadair Idris, rises like a wall behind the village. In the window of the Tourist Information Center, Alec sees a picture of a farmhouse bed and breakfast at the foot of the mountain. He walks the last few miles to the farm, and when Fiona Edwards takes him in, he knows he's reached his journey's end. All that's left now is the ascent, but the weather doesn't cooperate, and a storm sweeps in off the Irish Sea. As he waits for conditions to improve, he and Fiona, who bears emotional burdens of her own, share their own stories and find themselves falling in love. After a few days, Alec awakens to a clear but very cold April morning and decides the time has come to take Gwyn's ashes to the summit. The climb is brutally steep, the path a dangerous scree slope. What's more, the mountain is notoriously mean-spirited. The weather at the top can turn vicious and deadly in minutes. And, true to its reputation, as he reaches the mountain's rocky summit, a hailstorm races in off the Irish Sea and visibility drops to only just a few feet. Alec must battle the wind and hail to scatter Gwyn's remains. He shouts, "Creosoe!" into the wind, the Welsh word for welcome. His Gwyn has come to rest at last. His task completed now, Alec begins his descent, finding it nearly as difficult as the climb itself. It's a struggle to keep from losing his footing and sliding to his death. And then, at the very edge of the cliff face, Alec makes a horrifying discovery. In the split second it takes for him to comprehend what he sees, Alec understands that everything in his life, and in Fiona's, has changed.